to the UIAAA Connection podcast. GoFan and VNN are proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the UIAAA Connection. Now a combined company, GoFan and VNN provide a seamless integration for digital ticketing and athletic websites. Direct your fans to one place for all your athletic events, communications, and tickets to home and away games. Thank you to GoFan and VNN for their exclusive sponsorship of the UIAAA Connection.
Welcome back to another edition of the UIAAA Connection. I'm your host, Mark Hutchhunter. Today we have as our special guest, Trey Newberry, Certified Master Athletic Administrator, the Director of Athletics at New Richmond High School in Ohio. Trey, welcome to the podcast.
Hutch, thanks for having me. I've been excited. I watch your stuff. I watch all your podcasts, so I'm just happy to be here.
Well, perfect. Let's have you begin by sharing with our audience here in the U.S. and across the world where you grew up, where you went to school, your first job, those types of things.
Certainly. Okay, so I grew up in Cincinnati, and born and bred. Grew up with, I'm third generation educator. Dad was a teacher for 36 years. His mom was a teacher for 41 years. And the classroom wasn't for me. I played sports all the way up. First sport was boxing, ironically. Got into soccer, and from there, football. By the time I got to high school, I'm a grad of Withrow High School, and I kind of honed in on baseball. Had an amazing relationship with my baseball coach that was there, and he really had me believing that I was better than I probably actually was, but I was good enough to go in and play college. Ultimately ended up at Wright State. I took the JUCO route initially with Sinclair College in Dayton, Ohio. Ended up getting into the Wright State and made some amazing lifelong friendships there. Finished there, went to Tufts University. Briefly realized that I wanted to get into athletics. And I had a friend of mine who worked in Indianapolis. Indianapolis is a huge sports town. And he worked for a coaching association. And I realized that, it was time for me to kind of follow my dreams. I may be getting a little ahead of myself. I'm sure you got some other questions, but I don't know. I think I probably had a very traditional upbringing, like most athletic directors. I think most athletic directors probably focus at some point on some sport, and that love for that sport somehow got them to where they are right now.
Perfect. Let me ask you, describe your youth sport experience in Cincinnati. I'm sure that big of a city, you had plenty of time to play plenty of sports. Talk about that for a minute.
Yeah. Cincinnati. Well, you know what? Cincinnati is, I think the country will probably know them as a huge baseball town. The imprint that the Cincinnati Reds have made is just incredible. They've done a great job with kind of getting connected with the youth there, and they still do. So they funded a lot of youth baseball activities. I remember like vividly growing up, and there were periods like I lived in batting cages, and you would go in and it wouldn't be odd to go into a batting cage and Barry Larkin, be sitting there taking batting practice. I'm here in New Richmond now, brand new and, still unboxing things, but Todd Benzinger was old Reds player, and I remember vividly like taking batting practice with Todd and getting pointers from him. So and you're right. There's just it's a huge sports town. Just all of the football, the NFL, the Bengals team, the Xavier and University of Cincinnati basketball teams. There's just, if you're into sports, there's plenty to see, and like really good sports there in Cincinnati.
Excellent. Let's have you talk for a minute, go back to your early years, Trey, and then again, once you became an AD, talk about the mentors and leaders in your life that have made a difference to you.
Well, you know what, Hutch, I've carried a lot. I think it takes a good deal of humility to sometimes to ask for, for help, or just you sit and you watch people. Early on, I inferenced a little bit earlier, my baseball coach. Um, the idea of coaches who, stick around and they're in a place for 30 years is just wild. My father was also an alum of the high school that I went to. He got into that high school in 1969. Well, his baseball coach was my baseball coach when I got in 20 years later. And this coach has stuck
Wow.
around. Yeah, which is absolutely crazy. He stuck around. Yeah, the crazy part, I finished college. I came back to go visit the school, and guess who was there? That same coach was still there. So he spent over 50 years there at the school. But here's the impact that he had on me, though. He was there. Anytime that you have a kid who says, look, I'm looking to, like, I want to get better, I want to work. He came in on Saturdays and opened up the gym and allowed us to, just to work and kind of perfect our skill. When I went to college, he stayed in contact with me, and the relationship shifted. So, he started talking about, investing, or life after college. Like, he was just a absolute, mentor. But then I've picked up a ton, along the way. I'm looking at that UIAAA moniker back behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Rich Barton is, I can't tell you enough about Rich. He is one of the most just amazing individual, like, obviously phenomenal athletic director, but who he is as a person. Rich is one that will, it goes beyond the profession itself. He'll call uh, how's the marriage going? Are you making sure you take time, busy schedule, you spending time with your wife? Are you guys vacationing? Are you doing this? Work-life balance, everything. But there's Glenn Gillespie, OIAAA. I can't speak enough about Glenn and Twyla, the real brains behind the operations, his wife. But Joe Roberts, it's just,
Yeah, I tell Glenn that all the time, and somehow he doesn't like it because Tyler loves it when I said that.
yeah, oh yeah. But and I say it in jest, but she's amazing. I think anybody who does this profession, and particularly if you have a spouse, they have to be the most understanding person in the world, because this job is so demanding. And we have these, these are conversations that we have. I'll speak to, Twyla, and sometimes she'll ask me why I'm asking, but I'm like, hey, I'm trying to figure out what she's done. She's so supportive of Glenn. And I have that conversation with my wife, and, we just try to figure out how to balance this thing. This is a tough profession to be in, and kind of keep a balance between your home and your work life.
Great people. Thanks for mentioning that and sharing
Yeah.
that with us, Trey. Let me
Okay.
ask you a little bit of a personal question here that I always ask everyone.
Sure.
What's your biggest failure or disappointment in life, and what did you learn from it?
Oh, you know what? That's an easy one to remember. It's a tough one also to remember. A few years ago, I had a student athlete who had committed suicide, unfortunately, and uh, I had an opportunity to speak to that student a couple of days before, the unfortunate incident, and I didn't pay attention. Um, and I think sometimes we get focused, and I vividly remember, being in my office and working on something, and when I played things back in my head, there were things that maybe I should have picked up. So that was by far like one of the worst things that I had. So what I learned from it is I've always kind of had an open door policy. So the fact that they were able to come in and speak was there. But the part that I picked up is sometimes we're too focused on, maybe our destination or what it is that we're trying to do, and we don't pay attention to the journey. And we don't slow down and really listen. No, the most important time is the time that you have now. So really being in the moment, whatever it is that you're doing. So I am certainly focused on making sure that, yes, if I'm at an event, I'm really enjoying the event that I'm in. But if I'm in the office, or if students think enough of me to come in and want to have a conversation, if I can stop what I'm doing for a period of time and have that conversation, it means a lot. Now, who knows? It could, sometimes it means a lot, more for me than it does for them. But then I'm also, mindful that if you think enough to come in, if you just want to share what's going on in your day, or what's going on in your life, that I shouldn't take that for granted. So that's a very scenic route answer about being in the moment and making sure that now is the most important time that you have right now.
Yes, we are in the people business. So thanks for sharing that tender story as a reminder for all of us. Let's talk for a minute, Trey, about the job of athletic administration. Talk about how it's changed since you first got the job, or talk about how a lot of it's still the same.
It's been both. Because well, you know what, you just said it. We really are in the people business. At the end of the day, if you're in education-based athletics, what we do and how we interact with people is all that matters. So my relationship with coaches and making sure that I'm building coaches up and making sure they can be the best coaches that they can be, but then also the relationships that you have with your kids and your coaches have with your kids, your community, your parents, all the stakeholders that you have. So that's the same. Now, as far as what's changed, technology is changing faster than we can keep up with it. So whenever you discover a new platform and this is what the kids are using, you blink, you go to bed one night, you wake up, and the next day it's a whole different thing that you're on. So keeping up with the technology, and it's I know, I mean, it's a pro and con. I think that right now there's so much technology that is out there that is really geared towards what it is that we do that can really make our job easy to do, but it's keeping up with it. And there's just so much. Kids now, I just told a story that I was driving some kids home last year, and I had them two in my back seat, and they're not speaking. I'm asking, "Are you guys okay?" Like, no, we're talking right now. They were on their phone texting each other right next to each other instead of having a conversation. So this is just kind of this is where a lot of these kids are at this moment, and just keeping up with however you need to communicate with them is probably the toughest part of what's changed. But it's this is our world right now. So
Perfect. Let me ask you, at one point in your career, obviously you became involved in the OIAAA, and then from there, obviously became involved in the NIAAA. So speak to our audience about how that happened. You were a first year AD, and now you're where you are.
one name, Rich Barton. Rich Barton posed a question to me. Well, let's walk it back a little bit. Rich came to one of our state conferences, and he's teaching a class, and I'm just kind of a guy who tucks his head and just goes in and work. So I'm doing this class. I have no idea who Rich is. Ironically, it was Rich and Mike Elson, and I'm engaging in the class. We leave the class, and Rich asked me a question that was he has this thing, it's so simple, yet it's so profound. He asked, "Are you a giver or are you a taker?" And I didn't even know how to
Mm-hmm.
answer that question. I'm sure he's probably asked you that question a time or two. I didn't even know how to answer. I was on my heels. And when I realized what he was asking, he was essentially saying, man, you have a lot to give. You're sitting in these classes, which is great, but you need to get active. And from that moment, I went to conferences, but I took a lot. I went and I took part of everything. I took part of the breakout sessions. I was part of a student in the classes, and said, okay, you need to get and you start facilitating a little bit more, or do some breakouts or get involved. And it's just he taught me how to move, how to maneuver, and how to get involved to become a better athletic administrator. And from that point, I got a little bit more involved in the OIAAA and started doing a lot on our district level in the state. And now uh, I'm looking at guys like you, Hutch, who you and Randy TV Spa and Scott Garvis, and just I wonder how you sleep. I see you, I see you on QPA meetings. I see you part of this committee and that committee in your podcast, and you have the same 24 hours in a day that we have. So honestly, I'm playing catch up with you guys. You guys are my OGs, and I'm watching you move, and honestly, I'm just trying to keep up. So uh, that's really it. All you guys who have put in all of this work, and anytime that I can pick up a phone and have the ability to call or shoot an email and get a response, I'm just thankful for it. And hopefully, whatever you give to me, I can give back to people. And that's really just how it goes.
Well, that's well said, and thank you for your kind words, Trey. I appreciate that. Let me have you, before we get to the QPA, I want you to talk about, I call them the Ohio legends, but they're the people that I know. Obviously, you've worked with, obviously, rest in peace, Bruce Brown, obviously, Glenn Gillespie, Julie Render, obviously become a good close friend of mine, even Jeff Kurtz up
Yeah.
outside that announces for everybody. But talk about some stories, and there's a slew of other Ohio ADs that I'm forgetting. Just talk about some experiences or stories with these famous Ohio people.
Okay. All right. I'll save Bruce for last. Bruce is a special guy. So yeah, you mentioned Glenn. Glenn is and Glenn obviously stepped in Bruce's role and is really moved it along. Um, if you know Glenn, Glenn is just really he's a great guy, and he's a funny guy. Like you can't be around Glenn and not have fun. He doesn't take himself too seriously at all, and but it's just such a grinder and a worker. Julie's amazing. Julie holds it together. Um, but I will speak about Bruce. Bruce is really special. Bruce is when I got into this industry, especially being in Ohio. Bruce is probably the first guy that I saw who got the most done in a day, and
Hmm.
it was amazing. I There was a period where I was in Indiana as an athletic administrator for a few years, and that's it's a whole different world. But I could always call Bruce, and Bruce would always pick up the phone, and if he didn't, he would get back with me. And you think that you have a special relationship with him, then you start to realize that everybody had that same relationship. So at one point, I remember having a conversation with his wife and said, how is it possible for Bruce to do all the stuff that he's doing? And she said, well, Bruce is the master. What she say? The master of the 15-minute nap. So he would nap at these small periods, but he did. I mean, it was incredible the amount of work that Bruce did. And it tells, like, when you're around people like that, it forces you to get better. I was reading a quote recently from Mahatma Gandhi that said, what was it? It was uh, good a good leader is not about the followers you have, but uh, how many leaders that you create.
Mm,
And when you when you really look at Bruce and the impact of his life, everything that he did was about having people to have a respect for this business and this industry. And I remember speaking to him ad nauseum about what he felt the impact of education-based athletics and athletic administrators were. And he really built a lot of amazing people who are still trying to catch things that that he was doing 15 or 20 years ago. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Bruce should have been I mean that can't be understated enough. He should have been in that list of just mentors that I had. Bruce is awesome.
perfect. Thanks so much for sharing, and a shout out to all of our AD friends in Ohio. Let me get to one of the reasons I had you on here. Now, Trey, I want you to speak to our audience. You've been through the QPA process, so I want you to take a couple of minutes and talk to what it was like, how it's fulfilling, but it's not an easy thing, and talk about that for those that are thinking about getting into the QPA.
Okay. Well, the QPA has my full support. It is we speak as athletic administrators to coaches, and coaches work with their kids because they want them to get better. The QPA is professionally the best thing that I have ever done as an athletic administrator. It is I would describe it as athletic administration boot camp. So it takes a great amount of humility because it will shine a light on some things. If you think that you're an amazing administrator, there's something that you're not doing well. And this process really, it spots the light on that particular area. But you're there, and especially if one does this cohort process, I describe it as the moment you join, you're part of the Avengers, right? You have your skill set. No, you have your skill set, and you might be really good at it, but you are with ADs who are amazing from across the country, and you see some things that they're doing. It's like, this is amazing, and it's really about looking at your program holistically, um, and seeing how you can get better. And it's a that piece of if you were an athlete at some point, that you want to be the best athlete that you can be. If you want to be the best athletic administrator you can be, there's no way you can do it without doing this process. So what the NIAAA has created with this QPA assessment program is, it's honestly, I think it's the only way that you can really maximize who you can be as an athletic administrator. I can't speak enough. Now, I'm, saying all of these superlatives. It is a tough process. So, and what makes it tough is this is happening. It's a 10-month process. It's happening while you're an athletic administrator, and life's. So, you could be in the middle, whatever your busiest season is, you're gonna have it, stuff is gonna happen, and you just have to, consistently stay on it. And it's a bear. It's a rough project to do, but it's one of those things that everybody, and the people who went through the process before I went through it, they told me, they said, hey, there's going to be points where you hate it, but when you get done, you're going to appreciate it a lot more. And it, I'll walk out. You feel like you can do anything. You feel like you are an Avenger when you're done with this process, and what you bring back to your school and what you bring back to your community and the know-how that you have is just, I can't speak it up enough.
Well,
An amazing QPA program.
so a couple of follow-ups. So just for this, so maybe talk a little more about being in the cohort and talk about when exactly did you finish your QPA?
Okay, so I was cohort 3. We began our process in, I think it was June of 24, and we went through April of this year in 25. If I'm speaking to people who don't know anything about it, it is a 10-month process. Each month you focus on one particular aspect of your athletic department. And I say it, well, here's how I utilized it. I deconstructed everything that I did. So I realized that everything is fair game. So when I prefaced this conversation by saying it takes a bit of humility, um, most people who are doing this process feel like they are pretty good athletic administrators, and they are. Uh, but your metal's not really tested until you look at people who are really doing amazing things in each of these particular areas. So it takes a great deal of humility to say, you know what, I thought this was pretty good, but I might need to kind of just completely deconstruct this thing and build it back up again. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that process that happens, and everyone that I know in my cohort that we went through, we would, there was a lot of them that we would speak to, and man, we get off of a phone call after the cohort, like, man, what did you think of that? Said, Trey, I'm going back and I'm about to I'm about to scratch out this and redo this process over. And so that's what makes it a lot of work. You challenge yourself. But the piece that I would also say is when you talk about the thing that I learned in the past about being in the moment and appreciating the journey, it's easy to go here and just say, hey, I need to do this to satisfy this particular requirement. The real goal is, what can you pragmatically bring back to your athletic department that really impacts your community that you serve? And if you go in it with that mind frame, what you get out of it will be so much more rewarding, because you will really, it's ingrained in like who you are. Um, you, there were so many different things. I thought I knew a lot. Man, I couldn't scratch the surface of what I knew. And guys like, you, Hutch, are on the call. I didn't mention Mike Elson, who's another, like, you guys are legends, man. Mike, Rich would be on call. Scott would be on the call. Randy TV Spa, just amazing athletic administrators. So sometimes just listening, Mike Gatley, God, I got to talk about Gat. Just listening to you guys and how you maneuver, it's worth the price of admission. Just being on the call, like, I don't know too many calls where you could see, like, Hutch, how many calls are you on where you have all of those people on at the same time? So just, hey, I'm a fly in the wall on a call like that. So somebody like me who is just a lover of this field, man, if I can be in the call and just listen to you guys talk, man, that feels like a college course alone. So I can't give my testament, and we're losing with Don Bales, retiring, if he actually does retire. I mean,
Yeah.
those are just these are legends and icons in this industry, and I don't know of too many scenarios other than maybe in being in nationals where you get that group of athletic administration minds together. But that alone is the price of admission. But I can't tell you enough. I will always speak superlative. It's the best thing that I've ever done in this profession, from a professional development standpoint. QPA all the way.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing those thoughts about the QPA. Let me ask you this now, Trey, because I know the QPA, as you're well aware, is growing, more cohorts. I know you're not finished now, so once they get people through there, they get them and
Cycle.
they want to help. They want them to be mentors. They want to be evaluators. So now talk about your expanded role now that you've been through this.
Yeah, so I'm transitioning into a mentor now. So in fact, I got a call with my mentee in a little bit, but it's what we talked about before. Giving back information is meant to be disseminated. We don't. It's not meant to be hoarded. It's meant for if you get it, you pass it on. So, I have a mentee now who's going through the process, and we're doing whatever we can to help him achieve it. So, we use these pronouns of we. I don't talk about, hey, you are going to do this. I need you to do this. It's we're going to do it. So, you feel like you achieve something when you complete it. So I'm hopefully going to feel like I do it now. So now I just got someone else that's going up the hill with it, and I'm going to be there with them, and the ups and downs and the challenging months and the work, but we're going to do it again, and it's just meant to give back. If you go out and you just achieve this thing, this QPA, and you get this assessment, it has to be more than just something that you set up on your mantle. It has to be something that you give back. So you're giving it back to someone who's following behind you, who's also doing this process, but you also give it back to the community. Anything that you learn there, you have to share that info.
Perfect. We'll finish with a couple of questions, Trey. The first being this. You've got two suggestions for a brand new AD, and they've got to follow Trey's suggestions in order to become a success. What would your two suggestions be?
Okay. Do not read email before you go to bed. um, you, that's not a good move. Uh, and to really get better, and getting better is an everyday process. Um, it's the same advice that I would give to a coach. Uh, Coaches need to perfect their craft. I think I say often when I say perfect, it's a verb, it's not an adjective. So we're in industries that you will never be a perfect administrator, but you're always working towards that. And the advice that I would give them is, don't rest. Just, constantly work towards getting better in some aspect of what it is that you're doing. So I don't, care if that's reading books. I don't care if that's getting a mentor AD, if that's, taking part of the QPA, if that's getting involved or getting on a committee at the NIAAA. But in order to get better, you have to make that a conscientious effort to do it every day. And that's the best advice that I would give.
Perfect. We'll finish with this. Trey, what questions should I have asked you that I failed to ask you?
I tell you what, here's a question that I ask. I ask coaches, I even ask athletic administrators, what is your hobby? I think everybody has to have something that they kind of they utilize to decompress. Um, you can't, your engine can't be, 100% of the time doing this. We talk about work-life balance. So I think everyone should have a hobby. And I did anticipate you asking that. And so I'll answer before you ask. Mine is
Okay.
music. I am a music guy, so I think music just has a way of putting you in whatever mood you want to be in. So it's the reason why people put on a headset before they work out. They want to get pumped up. They need to hear something that gets you there. Sometimes, if I need to decompress and get my mind down where I'm ready to go to bed at night, I'll listen to something that's very soothing. But music has a bunch of different moods, and I'm a huge, huge music fan. So that's my hobby. I'll dabble around with certain things. I go to concerts. I do all kinds of things, but that's my thing. What's your thing? I want to
Perfect.
ask you, Hutch.
Well,
What's your what's your
I
hobby?
love music. I love music too. I like to get out on the golf course a little bit now. I read a lot. You may not know this. I've just finished my third novel, so I've published two of
Get
them,
out of
soon to
here. No, I didn't
publish
know.
three. Yeah, but I wanted to ask you as a follow-up. So
Yeah.
give me two of your favorite music groups or
Oh,
performers.
I'll tell you what. Oh, well, easy. Number one, Stevie Wonder.
There you go.
I am a huge Stevie fan. Uh, number two, I'm a big, who it's tough. I ask people this question, if they're on an island and they can only have a discography, what would that discography be? So for me, um, such a huge Stevie fan, but it could number two. I don't know if there's a solid number two. Maybe Aretha Franklin. Yeah, you know
Okay.
what? Definitely Aretha Franklin. But I'll listen to everything. People say that, but I truly am a absolute lover of music. But Stevie is my number one.
All right. Well, that is great, Trey, and thanks for sharing that about music. People that know me know that I'm a big music lover. I'm playing my phone all the time with all sorts of different artists. So that is great. On that note, that wraps it up for this edition of the UI AAA Connection. Again, our special guest today has been Trey Newberry, Certified Master Athletic Administrator and the Director of Athletics at New Richmond High School in Ohio. Trey, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Hutch, thank you for having me. Look forward to seeing you in person soon, man.
In Tampa, absolutely. For our listeners, we hope you tune in again next week for another edition of the UI AAA Connection.